All right. Well, did anyone get the record? I see the record thing, but I didn't hear the announcement, so we'll just assume it's recording. All right. So today we're going to be talking about winning with direct email marketing. This is something that we might be jumping the gun a little bit on this because some of the stuff that you'll probably want to use we don't have access to just yet. So, take good notes and sort of put this in the fixin' to get ready category kind of thing. Direct email marketing, you probably yourselves are on a bunch of email lists, and you kind of sometimes see the email, you sometimes kind of delete them, sometimes you unsubscribe to them, sometimes you don't know how you got subscribed to them. But those kinds of things for all the places that you shop at and events that you go to, and you're probably on several realtor email lists. I always get tickled when I meet somebody at a Buffini event, and then like the very next month, I get their e-report emailed to me because they've put me into referral maker as a contact, and then it automatically sends it out. So one of the things we want to look at here is various email services that are available to you. Now, Constant Contact, everyone knows about that. I had that at one time and shared it with my Rotary Club, and that was like $280 a month kind of thing. So that's a bit much. So these are going to be some either free or low cost kinds of things. MailChimp has a sort of limited free service out there, and that's just MailChimp.com. They have a paid version as well, but MailChimp, as well as Constant Contact right there below it, are wonderful systems, give you very robust data reporting and things like that. But again, those are at paid levels and higher. MailerLite is a system that's out there. I don't know that much about it, but they do have a free option. I think you get up to 1,000 email addresses for your mailing list before they start charging you on that. I've not used it, but that has come up several times as a free and or low cost service. ActivePipe is another great system. That's something actively being used in Long and Foster. It's a standalone software system, but you can use it with Moxie. So you can find that through the cafe, the hub, Foster, whatever we're calling it now. Just type in ActivePipe and it can walk you through all of that. And then starting to roll out to our agents in March is Rev by Bold Trail, which is also formerly known as KV Core. So if you've been on any of the, is it the Let's Get Real? Is that what they call it? The Let's Get Real broadcast with Patrick Bain, you'll have heard about Rev by Bold Trail. Jenny, Jan, and I are part of the test market with that and enjoying it a little bit. And so Rev has an integrated mailing system within that. So that's great because Rev, you can put in all of your contacts for your CRM, you can track activities with them, and then you can also have those contacts feed out into your mailing system. So that's kind of one of those things, like when I say fix it and get ready, this is one where you may want to start building your email list and starting to develop some content and things like that. And then it's like, okay, now I have Rev, now I'm ready to start emailing. So subscribers, how do you get subscribers to your mail list? Well, start with who you know. And a lot of folks you have email addresses for, don't send it to other agents, please. I only subscribe to a certain number of real estate email monthly newsletter things from other agents just because I want to see what my competition is doing. That's here locally. I subscribe to several others from around the country so that I can get ideas for what they're doing and see, is someone doing something better than me? Are they doing something different? Is there some idea that I can, a nugget I can steal from them, kind of thing. So start with who you know. What if you don't have somebody's email address? Well, you can call them. You can say, hey, I want to send something over to you. What's a good email address for you? Now, you've got to have something to send to them. So maybe that's a CMA. Maybe that's one of our Long and Foster Market Minute reports from inside the hub. Something like that. Say, hey, testing out something new, going to send out this information. What's your email address? Let me know if you find it helpful, right? So now you're putting a task on them, right? It's not, hey, I'm going to spam you with a market minute report. I'm trying something new. Let me send this to you. If you'll take a look at it, let me know if there's anything of value there. Did you find it useful and valuable, right? And now, these are people like, okay, yeah, no, I didn't read it yet, sorry. Or, no, it wasn't really for me. Okay, sorry about that, won't send you anymore. Well, but now you have their email address and you can pop them in there. Lead magnets. So many websites are great for this. I can't see you while I'm sharing my screen, but let's just assume you're raising your hand when I say, raise your hand if you've ever seen anything online that says, hey, get our free step-by-step guide for, and you have to input your name and email address. And they email you things. I do that a lot with some of the Tom Ferry stuff so that I can share that with you and other things. So, but that's a lead magnet, right? So you may develop, hey, sign up here to get our free list of homes for 23451, or sign up here to get our free buyer guide or something like that. So you could develop a lead magnet to sort of capture information there. Of course, you'd have to broadcast that out on social media and things like that. But that's one way to gather people's email addresses. Social media, go out there and start interacting with people. Put out on your social media and on your business page if you have one. Hey, I have a new real estate newsletter. Please let me know if you'd like to sign up. You might get some people that way. The main thing to remember is you don't get if you don't ask, right? So it's always be afraid to ask and never be afraid to receive a no. CTA, call to action. That's kind of that in that vein of the lead magnets, like, hey, click here for more information, right? You're telling them to do something. That's that call to action. Want to know what it's really like in the market? Click here, find out now. We see those kinds of things all the time. And then offline. This is the big one for us. This is where I'm going to tell you to go to networking events, go to your neighborhood civic league, things like that, and get to know people and talk to them and say, hey, I do a newsletter for the neighborhood. Would you like me to put you on it? Kind of thing. And they may say yes, they may say no, but and you can always say, hey, I'll send it to you. If you don't like it, just let me know and I'll stop sending it to you, kind of thing, because you want to give them that option. So if we go back for a second, just for note, all of these email systems, they have an an unsubscribe function on there. So something you can do if you're either cheap or lazy is use your email system now. So just your Long and Foster email, BCC everybody. Don't put all the email addresses in the to slot, because some poor soul will click reply all, and then you'll have 100 people getting a reply all of please remove me from your list, kind of thing. Now, if you do use your own email, your Long and Foster email, and put everyone in the BCC function, you must, according to federal law, the CAN-SPAM Act from 2003, you must have instructions in there on how people can unsubscribe. And you've probably seen this, especially from lenders. If you no longer want to receive these emails, just reply back with unsubscribe, right? So just remember that. So these systems here, they have that already built in. If you want to do it the absolute most affordable way and use the Long and Foster email system, just make sure you have those instructions in the bottom. And don't be persnickety about it and say, well, they wrote back stop and not unsubscribe, so they're still subscribed. No. If whatever they say and they don't want it, make sure you take them off the list. So content, this is probably the biggest thing. So we have a handful of people we can put on the list that will grow. People from open houses, things like that. You'll gather their information along the way. What are you going to use for content? Well, some great places to find content to share is your weekly Hurrah eRealtor. They Brea Green over there is our communications director. She does a great job of cultivating and curating information from Realtor.com, the Realtor newsletter, everything across the web, and highlights things that she thinks are important to our business. Some of them are going to be consumer facing. So there's some good information there in eRealtor. Also, gosh, you individually may learn something too by reading eRealtor. NAR Smart Brief. This is an email that comes to you from NAR, and it contains a lot of headlines and a couple little words of summation about the article, and then it clicks through typically to the Realtor magazine, but also they have things from like Tech Bubble and other websites like that on there that for finance magazines and things like that. So there's always a good place to find those kinds of things. Long & Foster Assets. If you go to the hub and plug in newsroom, all one word, you'll get to the Long & Foster news releases page. And a lot of it is, oh, hey, Jenny Burge just earned her such and such designation. Isn't that great? So there's a lot of that. But they also do a lot of highlights of articles and things like that. So, if Long & Foster has appeared anywhere, or if there's some kind of newslettery kind of thing, that's great. Also with the Long & Foster Assets, we get the item of value email once a month. This month was about tax items. Wouldn't that be a great thing? That's literally copy and paste. That would be a great email to send out to your list. You don't have to print it and mail it as it's intended, but you can copy and paste and email it. Other great places to find, especially consumer-facing kinds of things, HGTV, Architectural Digest, House Beautiful. What are some other websites people may go to? I'm a big fan of This Old House. That's still out there, especially, if you want to focus on, and making it real and relevant. So if you want to say, hey, I just had a home inspection with asbestos in the attic. What does that mean? Well, I guarantee you thisoldhouse.com or whatever it is has an article on asbestos in the home kind of thing, because This Old House is geared towards the New England residential market, and those homes are like 5 million years old and they have everything wrong with them under the sun. Any of the top 10 lists kind of things, Virginia Beach especially is always on a top 10 list of great places to live, great places to retire to. Those are kinds of great things to share. And then the final bullet point, any kind of data that you can share. So KCM, Keeping Current Matters, they're great. Again, that's something that as long as you give them credit, you can steal their blog posts kind of thing. RAIN puts out their stats every month, and you'll see a lot of people just share the graphic. Well, what is that graphic? What do those things mean? So maybe share the graphic in your email newsletter and then provide a little commentary on it about, what does this actually mean kind of thing. Also with RAIN is the Domus Analytics. So you could do a whole year's worth of content just with Domus Analytics, because you can drive that down to data by city, data by attached versus detached, data by the last 12 months, the year to date. You could do all kinds of things with that. So you could focus on specific neighborhoods and say, especially if you have experience with a neighborhood, say if you live in Bellamy Manor Plantation or something like that, say, hey, here's what's going on in Bellamy Manor Plantation, or hey, here's what's going on in Riverwalk, or whatever, and just say, okay, here's the neighborhood, and compile some data from RAIN. You can also feature a Long & Foster listing. We can't really feature without some problems. We can't really feature other listings from other firms. The easiest and simplest way to do it is to feature a Long & Foster listing and say, hey, here's our featured listing. And typically we have several here within Hampton Roads that are $1 million plus and really nice and on the water or whatnot, or something fun. I know Katie Zarkos here in the office has had a couple of cute little condos recently, so that would be something nice to feature. But also, if you go onto longandfoster.com, pull some of the Long and Foster listings that we have. We have things that go for like $40 million in this company. I mean, we do some pretty high-end stuff, especially in that Metro DC area along the Chesapeake Bay and things like that. So, feel free to share those kinds of things. And, almost in that vein of Zillow gone wild, it's like, oh, wow, you'll never guess what's inside this home kind of thing. And then it's a dining room that seats 40 or something like that. I mean, those kinds of things we don't normally see in our market. So, that would be something to call out and say, hey, Long and Foster has this great listing in Great Falls or, on the water in Maryland, and it has a dining room that seats 40, or something like that, and that could be a talking point for things. So the content is not really anything you have to write yourself. I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel, right? We have gotten all bent out of shape off and on over the ages of like, oh, let's write a blog post, or oh, let's write an email. And we still do some of that, but the majority of the emails that we send out are copy and paste, right? We use the Buffini stuff largely, but yeah, it's just set it and forget it kind of thing. Analysis and engagement. So this is so all of that was like email marketing 101. Now we're getting to like graduate level stuff. So what you want to look at if you really want to get into the analytics of your emails, and I think Rev KV Core is going to allow for this. I know the other search engines do, or the email systems do. What is your open rate? If you send 100 emails and 40% of them actually open the email, that's great. That's phenomenal. Typical open rate is about 15 to 18%. So that's average. Anything over that, you're a rock star. What is the click-through rate? So they open the email, then are they clicking on anything in the email? So this is where you want to make sure things are linked. So if you say, here's a great story on, asbestos in your attic, or here's a great story or information on spring maintenance tips or something like that, and you're linking to an outside article on HGTV or This Old House or Martha Stewart Living or whatever. The Spruce is another one that comes to mind. I don't know if you've seen that one. That's a nice kind of fun and easy one. Are they clicking through to these things? And what are they clicking on? With some of these email systems, you can see, hey, you have a click-through rate of X%, but then you can have that data broken down. It's like, oh, what are they actually clicking on? A lot of people are clicking on the market data. Maybe I should include more market data, right? Or no one's clicking on the market data. What's wrong with my market data? Maybe that needs to be moved, as I would say, above the fold from the old newspaper days, right? Maybe that needs to be moved higher up in the thing, because everyone loves data. I talked with a seller yesterday. I have a listing appointment Saturday with her, and she's like, we bought our home 5 years ago, just before COVID. And I'm like, yes, they have equity. And she says, and back then, we know that during the COVID market, things were really wild, and we don't know what's going on in the market right now. We don't know if it's still like that, or if things are lasting longer. So they're relatively unplugged. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I have an opportunity to educate them, and they have no expectation, right? They're not like, I want my house sold in 24 hours, right? That can be a bit of a heavy lift right now. But I'm going to go over there with data, and they're going to love it because they don't know what's going on in the market, or they especially don't know what's going on in their neighborhood, and I'll have that data for them. So people like those things. You'd be surprised the things on Facebook that people click on. What's my home worth? And they get, some kind of thumbnail sketch. The number of times I'm quoted as Zillow's estimate as a home value, or people that think that their city assessment is an appraisal. Well, the city appraised it at, $495,000 last year. No, they're taxing you on $495,000. Your home's probably worth a little bit more than that on the fair market. And well, and there's your blog post right there for your newsletter. You know, what's the difference between an appraisal and an assessment? Something really important to pay attention to is the bounce rate. So that means, um, do you have a dud email address from somebody, right? Let's be generous and say someone came to an open house and you picked up their email address off the sign-in sheet, and donaldduck@gmail.com is not a real person or a real email address. That's probably going to bounce. So you go in and see, it's like, okay, that's a dud email address. Or like, oh, it's donaldduck47@gmail.com. I left off the 47 when I inputted. Oops, my bad. You know, so it gives you a chance to correct, but you know, you want to take those bounces out and sort of delete them, those records kind of thing. Conversion, so you have open rate, it's great, they're opening, click through, they're actually clicking through. Conversion, are you converting any of the people reading your email list to actual buyers, sellers, renters, whatever? You know, you can track this, like, oh, this person has been poking around on my email, now they're ready to buy, right? And we see this, if you use Real Scout, you'll see this too. You know, people are clicking around in your Real Scout, and so that conversion then is like, okay, you know, hi Fred, you know, see you making some saves in Real Scout, you know, I know you were talking about sometime this summer was the right time to buy, but I just want to check in because you seem pretty active on Real Scout and just want to see, is that timeline moving up? You know, actually we've been seeing some really cool stuff. I think we're ready to make a move. You know, I've had several of those conversations lately. It's like, you know, it's actually, the market is a little more lively than we were expecting. So, you know, we're ready to make a move if we find the right thing now. Great, we just moved the timeline up 4 months. You know, even better. And then also the unsubscribe rate. You want to pay attention to that too, because if you send out 100 emails and 20 of them unsubscribe automatically, well, you want to make sure you don't send to them again, right? So that's why if you use your Long Foster email as your mailing system, that when they say unsubscribe, you then go back and delete them, because if you keep sending them stuff when they've asked you not to, you could be in trouble, right? We don't want anyone to have to wind up going to realtor jail or real jail for that matter. So this is just some data at higher levels. Ultimately, the goal is to have content that's good enough in the newsletter so that when you send something out, people feel like they're engaged with it and find value with it, and it portrays you as the expert in the marketplace kind of thing. Let's see, what else do I have? Do I have anything else? Real world examples. Since I don't have my laptop, oh, I did save some. Okay, good. I thought I had these as extra things to share outside of my presentation. So here's one here from the wild and wonderful folks at Johnson & Burge. This is Buffini. All we did was copy and paste and insert the graphics they provided to us. Fantastic. Easy peasy. Ricky Carruth. He does a weekly email report every week, and it's the Gulf Coast Market Report. He's down in southern Alabama on the Gulf, and he uses Constant Contact, but he has a massive list, and he is such a machine with his email list that he actually gets business off of it. So he has these buttons here right at the top: new condo listings, new home listings, live beach cam. You know, so we have some live cameras around town that you could tap into and link to if you wanted to. Then he takes a picture of something relevant in the marketplace. That's probably, you know, some condo community there on the beach in Gulf Coast, Alabama. And then he has other data and things like that. His is all data, all data. And you can go and subscribe to that if you want to. Oh, here's the bottom half of it. So saying some thank you, and then it's like, okay, here's a button for all condo data, right? That's his call to action. 2024 closings, and this is just data pulled right from the MLS, right? So those buttons there, everything that sold as a condo in 2024, regular homes. Perdido, I don't know if that's a town or if that's a condo community, but he pulled that out as a single thing. And then on the right, you see everything for sale right now. So Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Perdido Key, Gulf Shores homes, Orange Beach homes, Ono Island homes, kind of thing. So that takes you to those links. Realtor Max Berkowitz down in Florida, similar kind of thing. He does a little bit more writing in his to say, okay, typical home sells in nearly 2 months. And that's a message that we need to help people latch onto in this market, right? If a home's on the market 30 days, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it. 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, that's normal for market time. That's healthy, right? The goal is, of course, sell it as quickly as possible, but if you go 2 weeks and you haven't had any offers, that's okay. Jenny and I both have been through markets where it has taken almost a year to sell things. So, anything shy of that, I think, is a huge success. But we have gotten really spoiled in recent years with things hitting the market and bam, they're sold, line out the door kind of thing. That still happens, right? But here's one of your email content pieces like, hey, what's the average market time in Virginia Beach, in Chesapeake, in Newport News, wherever, right? What's the average market time for single-family detached homes in these cities? What's the market time, average market time, for condos in Ocean View or whatever? You can really break down data and just throw out some bullet points and then say, hey, this is okay, right? Some homes are taking a little longer, some are still moving more quickly, but it's okay. I thought I had another one, but so that's that for real world examples. And then thank you for joining us today. So let me stop sharing. We go back to our cameras here. So let me see if I can figure out how to get everyone on a grid. There's everyone. So what questions do you have about that? Was just sort of a highlight of things. There's always is a little bit more to it than just that. This is just grazing the surface. But has anybody seen any real estate emails that they think like, oh, I could definitely copy that?
I think what Long & Foster provides is pretty amazing, for not having to pay for anything additional. And then I think my understanding is Rev is going to have some pre-populated content.
Right, Rev will have some content there as well.
For like drip campaigns
Yeah.
and stuff.
Absolutely. Katrina, I think I saw you unmuted. Do you have something to add? No. I love it. Sean's like, oh my God, no, don't call it me.
Yeah.
Something else I've seen some folks do is supplement the real estate and home info with things that are going on locally, right? So look at local news outlets, The Pilot, WVEC, Wavy, things like that. What are some things happening locally here that might draw attention? You can always say, hey, the Virginia Arts Festival is kicking off. Here's a link to more information, and maybe call out like, hey, they have, some super duper world famous conductor coming, or some special jazz person coming. I don't know if you saw this, but the Dome site is getting ready to be completed, and they're going to have a theater there as part of it. And they're starting to sell tickets to concerts there. Did you see the news item of who the first?
Yeah, I saw that.
Three Dog Night.
Three Dog Night. They're going to be the first people at the Dome. Why is that important?
Because they closed it.
Right.
Three Dog Night was the last group to perform at the old Dome. So that's kind of neat. That I think would be worth putting into an email or putting out on social media. It's like, this is cool. Three Dog Night closed the Dome in 94 or something like that, and they're going to be opening the new Dome. How cool is that? And I'm just searching for an old person joke there about broken hips, but it's kind of cool. So that might be something worth mentioning. If you see that a new homes development is being announced in Chesapeake or Suffolk or something, hey, we have new homes coming to the marketplace. Let me know if you want to know more. the Strawberry Festival is coming back to Virginia Beach. It's going to be like right here at what they call the Artery here around Alaskan Gateway and Aloha Snacks and all of that. So, that may be something worth noting to people. Chesapeake Jubilee, Chesapeake Wine Fest, concert season being announced at the amphitheater or at the Portsmouth Pavilion. Those kinds of things, sort of make you, when you're sending this information out to your email list, it plugs you in. It's not only like, hey, yeah, I'm a real estate expert, but I'm also your community expert because I know what's going on around here, kind of thing. Maybe you want to highlight some of the local museums and attractions, the Mariners Museum in Portsmouth or the aquarium here in Virginia Beach, or the Chrysler has a new glass studio now. It's like 3 times the size of the original glass studio. It's fantastic. So maybe those kinds of things, just to say, yeah, I can help you with housing, but I know an awful lot about the area, kind of thing. Because that's what also helps sell homes, is knowing what's going on around you, kind of thing, and getting people excited about this stuff, right? One of the things that I tell a lot of people, it's like, it's no secret, Jan and I don't have kids, but we know where some cool kid stuff happens, right? Just because when somebody comes to us and say, well, we want something that's family friendly, let me tell you about the Children's Museum in Portsmouth. Let me tell you about Jamestown. Let me tell you about the aquarium, kind of thing. So, those are things that even if you don't have kids, or even if your kids are grown and out, you can still say, hey, there's great kid stuff around here. Let's look at, the boardwalk or the Neptune Festival down on the boardwalk, or let's look at, this or that kind of thing. So, this is such a diverse area for things to do. The types of real estate we have around here, that once you start digging in on content, you'll have no end to what you can push out and tell people about. So if we go back to the fix and get ready kind of thing, it's like, okay, I want to dig in on this and start it with Rev when I have access to that. That's fine. Start pushing some of this information out on your social media now, right? Test some of it, and as Ted Lasso says, be curious, right? So put it out there, say, hey, I was wondering myself, what does the condo market in Northern Suffolk look like? Here's some data I discovered, and, push out, hey, condos in Area 61, Northern Suffolk, on the market average number of days, here's the average sales price, here's the cheapest one that sold in the last 12 months, here's the most expensive one that sold in the last 6 months, and great data, kind of thing. Push out the rain stats, provide some commentary on it, because numbers are numbers, right? If I tell you the mortgage interest rate is 7% today, great. People are either going to be sad about that or they're going to be happy about that. But when you provide context, then people start to understand and learn, right? Mortgage interest rates are 7%. Thank God they're not 8%, right? Jan's and my first condo we bought in Northern Virginia. We got it at 6 3/4. We were so excited that it wasn't 7 because that was the prevailing rate at that time. And this is 2002 if anyone's tracking. So, and maybe, a little bit there, I'm sure there are articles out there. Ken and John can probably provide you mortgage references for it. But the Federal Reserve interest rate is not the mortgage rate, right? So when say, hey, the Federal Reserve lowered the interest, they didn't do anything with the mortgage rate. So maybe little nuggets on that. It's like, hey, if you're wondering why the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates but nothing happens in the mortgage market, here's why, kind of thing. So you can start pushing that stuff out on social media now and sort of testing some of the content. Any other questions or thoughts? Anything cool you've seen in emails that you've received, whether it's a consumer product or something like that, that's a nice feature? Anybody on any real estate email lists from other realtors? Go out there and find some people. Go Google and find, I don't know, Charleston, South Carolina real estate, and start looking at some of the agents there and see if some of them have some snazzy websites and some email lists that you can sign up for, and just see what other people are doing, right? And I encourage you to look at other markets outside of Virginia Beach, because You don't want to copy what someone here locally is doing. And I guarantee you that if somebody's doing something wild in Gulf Coast, Alabama, or Charleston, South Carolina, or Lewis Beach, Delaware, that's something that we could probably, sort of retool for ourselves here, right? Because that's getting outside of the box, right? Seeing what other people are doing in other markets, kind of thing. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, so let's look at next week. Our class is going to be Thursday at 10 o'clock again. Same bat time, same bat channel. And I'll send out an email on Monday detailing what the topic's going to be. As always, if you have certain things you want covered or you have questions about tools and things like that here at Long & Foster, let me know. We can always incorporate that. Someone recently asked for Spanish language training. No habla español here, but we are going to be offering that. David Osorio is stepping up to do a quarterly training in Spanish. So in your offices, if you have Spanish-speaking agents, they want some customized training en español, stay tuned for that. That's coming in March. But without anything else and no other comments from our peanut gallery, either in the room or on the screen, I thank you, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.